Well, thank you, Julie. That was unexpected and wonderful. Chris, my son's up there, so remember that, Chris. And so thank you, Julie, for being here and taking time out of your busy schedule. In March 2020, when the markets were going all over the place, I went on Face the Nation, and I said, we're in a war against the virus. What I didn't know is Newbar was going to help lead us out of that. And as the old saying goes, if you're going to be in a war, you got to have a heck of a person in the foxhole with you, so thank you for all you and your company have done. But the other people that led us out of that, where the frontline work has been acknowledged so eloquently by Ken, so I won't do more except to say thank you. And your boss, Michael, is very proud of you, as are all of us, of all the people around the globe that did what you do. But I want to accept this award on behalf of my 200,000 plus teammates, including our frontline workers, those people in the branches that went to work when all of us went home and kept the economy rolling, not knowing what was coming through the door, not knowing you were supposed to wear a mask for the first part of it because nobody knew it was an aerosol transmitted disease for a while. And they did it and did a great job, and they kept the economy going along with the teammates who did work from home. And so I want to thank all of them. Lori, thank you and the CED for this honor. I accept it on behalf of my teammates. Thank you to my board of directors who work so hard to govern what I do and make sure that we do it well. The other leaders tonight are extremely impressive, and I have connections with all of them, with Karen and some work we do with them, obviously, as a big company, another big company, with Margaret and I sitting through many hours of trying to help make sure our industry does well, and many of them in many different ways. So I thank all of them. It's an honor to be in their presence. But as CEOs, we face a dual responsibility. We have to deliver for our shareholders and deliver for society. This isn't a new concept. Jim Collins wrote about this in 1990. Those of you who've read his books, this is one of the concepts in those books. He called it the genius of the and. Profits and purpose, deliver for shareholders and for society. And it's the basis of stakeholder capitalism, as Julie said, a concept which is 50 years plus old. The idea is core to how our company works to support our teammates, our clients, our communities, and our shareholders every day, including how we responded to the health crisis. This is about leading in crisis, so I thought I'd give you a few examples of how we serve. The first thing we had to do was we're a people company, and we had to take care of our teammates. And that was kind of an interesting thing. 100,000 people had to be positioned to work from home in 3 weeks. That's a lot of computers. That's a lot of screens. That's a lot of Wi-Fi. And the team that had to do that had to do it. We never thought these people would work from home. And suddenly we had 100,000 teammates. In addition, 100,000 had the kind of equipment they could. But then we had to think about what home was like. Go back and think about where you were in March and April 2020. The school is empty. So our teammates that were working suddenly became a tutor, a teacher, a lunch person, a hall monitor, and an IT person all at once. So what we said is they can't work in that condition, both physically and mentally. And so we started a program. We gave each of those teammates $100 a day to hire someone to come in their home every day. 4.5 million days later, those teammates did a wonderful job for our teammates. So how do we think about our clients? They too needed help. And my teammates worked around the clock on many different programs that were only designed literally within days. We deferred 2 million consumer payments. Margaret did the same for her clients. Not knowing where it would end, we just said, don't pay us, you're in distress. We helped businesses raise more than $750 billion in capital in a few months to make sure they had liquidity and capabilities to continue on. We delivered 500,000 PPP loans with 10,000 people working on the program at the high point, working weekends and Easter Sunday for a lot of them. We delivered for our shareholders too. Our market cap from before the crisis is up over $120 billion, which means they got treated well too. But then we moved to our communities. Out of the gate, as mentioned by Julie, we pledged an additional $100 million to charity for medical supplies. Now think back. When you walked in here today, everybody had masks on. In March of 2020, there weren't enough masks to give these frontline workers to work. So we said, let's go out and get them, and it's worthy of a David Baldacci's spy novel, us getting the first 5 million out of China and waiting and fighting. It's a wonderful thing. But then we went broader, and the issue was, what about the community centers and stuff that needed them? So we gave away $33 million masks so people didn't have to make a choice between spending money on a mask and spending money on some other need. As we think about the health crisis, then we move to address other challenges facing society. An example was the environment. Next week I'll go to Glasgow for COP26. We have committed in the middle of this pandemic to be net zero by 2050 and committed to make substantial change in our operations by 2030. But the most important about moving on the environmental crisis or moving on the environment, as Julie said, is to get everybody to do their part. And so we've committed $1 trillion in financing over the next 8 years to help our clients make a just transition because they're the ones that have to make it. We're also continuing our long-standing work on racial equality and economic opportunity. Now, Ken Frazier has a group called 110 that was referenced, and it's been an honor to work with him on it. But when he came to me, I talked about some things we've been working on. There's a fellow named Raj Chetty and a fellow named John Friedman. John's from Brown, Raj is from Harvard. I went to Brown, so John would like to be first, but Raj did the research. They've done a lot of work on opportunity. And we stumbled into this 5 years ago in Charlotte, when Charlotte was ranked 50th out of 50 of all the major cities. So opportunity meant, how do we create opportunity in our communities? And as a bank, we have an obligation to create opportunity in two ways, or as any company, in two ways. One is inside our company, and second is outside our company. We call it looking in the mirror or looking out the window. So what do you do in the mirror? You have to have diverse representation and opportunity in your company from top to bottom, and we measure it at every single level. Sherry Bronstein, our head of human resources, can show you the reports I get every month from our business leaders. We provide equal pay for equal work and have 2 firms test that every year, so it's not left up to chance. We now have a minimum wage of $21 an hour, and because we started 20 last year, and we've committed to raise that $1 a year, so we did 20 and 20, 20 and 21. We're not that inventive, so we'll get to 25 and 25. But what that really means is the same thing Margaret said earlier. Think about what the difference is. An 18-year-old kid coming out of high school working at $42,000 plus full benefits, plus the training given, plus front-end reimbursement for that education they need. Think about the difference in those 6 years, where today in Charlotte there are 40,000 people who are under-earning what they could earn. Think about the difference working for a large company that all of you represent. If they can have that kind of wage, that kind of training, that kind of college reimbursement for the courses that are going to help them make, it's a whole different pattern. And so that's what we're doing with. Now you have to look out the window. And so we looked out the window and saw how we could create opportunity outside. Julie referenced the $1 billion program, which we made $1.25 billion program. That program accelerated. It was already going on about opportunity, but after George Floyd's killing, we accelerated and doubled the program. My teammates came to me and said it's going to have to be a $500 million program. Ann Finucane and Tom Montag have been working on it. I said, it's going to be $1 billion program. And we announced it far before we knew exactly what we were going to do. And a lot of things that we've done are kind of interesting and fun. But one of the most important things, really going to the question that John raised earlier, which is we've committed to 100 private equity funds that are run by women, Black, Latinx, Asian American, Native Americans, who invest in companies from the same cohorts, who obviously will employ people from the same cohorts. So 3,000 companies. 3,000 companies did it. Now, the interesting thing about that was we don't have a staff to do this. We're not in the private equity business. So what did we do? We raised our hand, and 28 of our investment bankers came over and started looking at all these firms, finding them, helping us do it, our 92 market presence. That's the spirit of the team at Bank of America, because they wanted to create the opportunity in the community, and that equity will help those companies grow. So we're just one company, and all of you represent great companies in this audience. They've been around for long periods of time, as was said earlier in the Otis elevator case, which is 183 years old, 180. Yeah. We're 230-something, so we're getting there. But let's think about this. The collective efforts we're going to have as companies goes to prove what Julie said. The private sector is the key to solve the big things that the world needs solved. Capitalism is the way to do that. Capitalism done right is the way to do that. And our job as CEOs is to lead companies in a way that they do capitalism right. Our team, our customers, our shareholders, and our communities. It's not stakeholder capitalism. It's the right thing to do. Thank you.